Ladies and gentlemen, this picture that you're looking at is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention location in Atlanta, Georgia. This story that I'm about to tell you came out in the Washington Post, April 18th, 2020. Contamination at CDC lab delayed rollout of coronavirus test. Wow. The failure by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to quickly produce a test kit for detecting the novel coronavirus was triggered by a glaring scientific breakdown at the CDC's Central Laboratory Complex in Atlanta. According to scientists with knowledge of the matter and the determination by the federal regulators, the CDC facilities that assembled the kits violated sound manufacturing practices, resulting in contamination of one of the three test components used in the highly sensitive detection process, the scientists said. The cross contamination most likely occurred because chemical mixtures were assembled into the kits within the lab space that was also handling synthetic coronavirus material. The scientists also said the proximity um, deviated from the accepted procedures and jeopardized testing for the virus. The Washington Post separately confirmed that Food and Drug Administration officials concluded that the CDC violated its own laboratory standards in making the kits. The standardized practices expose the kits to contamination. The troubled segment of the test was not critically to detecting the novel coronavirus, experts say. But after the difficulty emerged, the CDC officials took more than a month to remove the unnecessary step from the kits, exacerbating nationwide delays in testing, according to an examination of the federal documents and interviews with more than 30 present and former federal scientists and other familiar with the events. Many of them spoke on the condition, just as long as they remained anonymous, um, because they were not authorized to comment publicly. This account confirms for the first time the contamination's role in undermining the test and the CDC's failure to meet its lab standards. Mm-mm-mm. The development and rollout of the original kits are subjects of an investigation led by the Department of Health and Human Services, federal officials said. The CDC, America's premier institution for combating the spread of a catastrophic disease, declined to make available for interviews those involved in the test design or manufacturing. A spokesman, Benjamin N. Haynes, provided a statement Friday that acknowledged substandard quality control in its manufacturing of the test kits. Those efforts were not sufficient in this circumstance, the statement said. The agency also said it has implemented enhanced quality control to address the issue. The CDC said the problems with the test kits might have resulted from a design and or manufacturing issue or possible contamination. Hayes also defended the CDC's work, saying that earlier troubles were eventually ironed out. As of March 23rd, more than 90 state and local public health labs in 50 states The District of Columbia, Guam, and Puerto Rico verified they are successfully using the diagnostic kits. Haynes said in a statement, shortcomings with the test were first noticed in late January after the CDC sent the initial batch of 26 public health labs across the country. According to those with knowledge of what unfolded, false positive reaction emerged at 24 of the 26 labs that first tried out the kits in advance of analyzing samples gathered from patients. Only two of them got it right, said a senior federal scientist who reviewed the development of the kits and internal test documentation, who concluded that the false positives were caused by contamination that occurred at the CDC. The false positive arose during testing of negative control samples that contained highly purified water and no genetic material. The aspect of testing was essential to confirming that the test results were reliable and not because of contamination. The bottom line is if you have a negative sample and it's coming up positive, the only way for that to happen is cross contamination. There is no other explanation for it, the scientist said. Experts said the kits were contaminated before they were shipped out to the state health labs. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. Stephen A. Morse, a retired senior CDC microbiologist, said the circumstances as reconstructed by the Post point to contamination as the cause of the false positives. With a negative control, there's nothing that can be amplified unless there was some contamination present, Morse said. If your negative control is giving you a positive reaction, that's indication of contamination. Wow. The possibility of contamination in the CDC lab was raised by Axios in a story in early March. The big question, it was not immediately clear if or how possible contamination at the Atlanta lab played a role in delays or problems with testing, the story said. The CDC's delay in changing course after the test problems has hindered efforts to contain the novel coronavirus, which emerged in China in late 2019. It grew to a regional outbreak and ultimately a pandemic that has wrought widespread death and unprecedented shuttering of the U.S. economy. As of Friday, the virus infected at least 695,369 Americans and killed 32,454. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. So much for experts and high IQs and being the experts in medicine and science. So much for that. This is another fumble on America. This is why a lot of people are talking about how this whole thing has been mismanaged from the start, starting with your president on down to your medical experts and your scientists. And now you can add the CDC labs for contaminating the kits before they even left the laboratory. I mean, can it get any worse than this, y'all? Seriously, can it get even any worse? We have seen nothing but bad fumbles happen throughout this entire thing. The people in charge are just doing a horrible job. It's horrifying to see what is going on and how they are just literally getting up and still trying to figure out this virus. They literally don't know any more about the virus than me and you. But y'all, please tell me what you think about the contamination at the Atlanta CDC lab and headquarters. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.